Hi, everyone. Thank you for listening to the Dr. Regina Hernandez Show. I am Dr. Regina Hernandez, and the purpose of this podcast is to provide a platform to support teachers and engage community members in authentic dialogue about public education. This episode is about the declining enrollment of students in public schools. To discuss this topic, I have Mr. Abasi Thomas as a guest for this episode. Abasi Thomas is a highly revered high school teacher in Houston, Texas, with 11 years of service in South and Central Texas. He brings an insightful perspective to the decline of student enrollment in public schools topic, and I originally invited Abasi to share his thoughts about this topic, but his response made me rethink of what the core issue really is, which is exactly why this platform is so important for our community. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Abasi Thomas. Hi, Abasi.
Hello, my name is Abasi Thomas. I'm currently a teacher at C.E. King High School in Houston, Texas. I've been teaching for 11 years, and I have taught in various places in Houston, also South Texas, Laredo, Texas. Originally from Houston, Texas, but I have lived and attended high school in Austin. I've also lived in Kentucky, New York City, Ohio, and points beyond. And I wanted to comment on the topic of declining enrollment in public schools. And in my view, I see it as less of an issue of declining enrollment, but more of an issue of redistribution of enrollment. To say that there's declining enrollment, I think, would be a little bit of an oversimplification. What you're seeing, especially after the housing market crash, is that homeownership has become less available. And so as a result, you're seeing apartment complexes and affordable housing options that are springing up in these suburban areas. So a lot of parents who might have once lived in the inner city are able to find housing in apartment complexes that may not have been available, 10 or 15 years ago. And so you've got a lot of inner city residents moving to the suburbs, and the effect is that inner city enrollments are declining. However, suburban public school enrollments are booming. They're bursting at the seams. Here in the Houston area, there seems to be a new high school popping up in these suburban areas almost every year. And so simultaneously, you're going to see these inner city schools that are either being absorbed by the school district or just being shut down. Meanwhile, you have an issue of gentrification of the inner cities. You're seeing these high-rise condos and very expensive housing springing up in areas that were once, considered to be an inner city or less desirable area. I know in Austin, East Austin, used to be, known for crime and just known for being a little bit of a rough area, and now it's basically hipsterville. Third Ward here in Houston used to be, an area that you wouldn't want to travel through at night, and it's becoming one of those emerging gentrified areas. And so, in my view, I think the parents who are moving back into the city and living in these types of housing situations, they would be less likely to send their children to that neighborhood school. And so you're seeing other options that they're taking advantage of, either homeschool, charter school, maybe private school. So that's basically my take on it. I don't think that it's so much an issue of declining enrollment in public schools. I think that it is a redistribution of enrollment. Inner cities definitely being hurt, but suburban school districts, you're seeing an increasing amount of enrollment. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Abasi Thomas, for sharing your ideas and engaging in this important topic regarding public education in our communities. Your point of this topic being really about the redistribution of enrollment to the suburbs is greatly appreciated and valid. Thank you for clearly illustrating the point by describing the gentrification of the inner city the hipsters who do not have children, and the parents who do live in the gentrified area but prefer charter schools over and private schools and homeschools over public schools, which have the reputation of being violent, dangerous, and basically subpar in quality of education. So this leads me to have a few questions, follow-up questions for the community or for our listeners. How can inner city public schools compete with charter schools and homeschools? And what will happen to urban public schools? How will charter schools affect public education? And what will happen to the quality of education for families who can't afford charter private schools or homeschooling? Thank you, everyone, for listening. And again, thank you, Mr. Thomas, for sharing your thoughts and taking the time to join us. To anyone who's interested in sending topic suggestions, or if you want to be a guest on the show to share your ideas about important topics in public education, please email me at reginahernandezconsulting@gmail.com. You can also check out my website at www.reginahernandezconsulting.com to learn about my services as a teacher coach and education consultant. As always, thank you for listening. I love you. Bye.